Hello and welcome everyone, I'm Benjamin Carano, and in this video I'm going to be unboxing all of the parts I'll be using to build my new 2021, well late 2021, maybe 2022 mountain bike. Customized hardtail titanium, amazing mountain bike build. So that makes this part one of my mountain bike build series. And if you do want to watch more, well, feel free to stay tuned. I will not be listing each part in the title, but if you peek at the description of each video, I'll have what part it is in order listed in the description, and of course I'll say it in the intro like I am now. So this is part one. Stay tuned for many more parts to come as I build this mountain bike, but I'm super excited. Without further ado, this will be a longer video, so I'm just gonna get to it and start unboxing everything I'll be using to build my mountain bike. All right, so starting out with one of the most significant parts of any bike, which in my opinion is the frame. I have here the custom titanium, custom engineered, custom designed, and custom built titanium frame. Now this is the first time I've actually partnered with an engineer and a company, a custom titanium frame company, to actually design my own mountain bike frame. To my own specifications and geometry and all of the above. So fingers crossed, everything will go together as planned. And I will do a separate video on how I designed this frame and some of the specs on it, because I'm sure many of you will be interested, but I absolutely love it right off the bat, and this will be such a nice piece to the bike. And it's hardtail. We are doing a hardtail mountain bike. But I may do a suspension version later down on the road, but I'm definitely a hardtail rider personally. And if you're a suspension rider, full suspension or hardtail, let me know in the comments below. I'm curious to see what people are liking these days, but nevertheless, this is absolutely gorgeous. I'm gonna set this off to the side here, and there will definitely be more on the frame, so don't worry. I won't go too in depth onto each part, but this will just be a simple unboxing video showing all the parts I'm using. So the next big piece here is my front fork. I just have the Fox Elite 36 for my front fork. These are known to be very good high-end mountain bike forks. There's also plenty of RockShox forks that are very comparable. But my friend actually was he was upgrading his Fox 36 to a Fox 38. So this is actually his old one that he let me have. So that was really nice of him. And I have, it happened to basically fit my hardtail design perfectly. So that's where that came from. That's why it's obviously out of the box, and it's already cut to the length that I want it to be. And I may end up cutting it shorter down the road, but that is the next piece that I have. I guess kind of going off of frame components here, I have my handlebars, which are just simple Wake handlebars. They're just aluminum, and I have the 180 millimeter width here. And as you can see here on the handlebars, I'm not sure if you can, but there's little lines here that I can actually cut them shorter if I ever need to. But 180 was pretty much perfect for my measurements, so that's what I went with. Quick disclaimer though, the handlebars and the dropper post, which I'll showcase in a minute, are the two things that I cheaped out on, so to speak. They're the things in my mind, not so much the dropper post, but especially the handlebars here. In my opinion, handlebars are kind of handlebars, and the only thing that I'll gain by getting higher quality handlebars is brand name and potentially saving a little bit of weight. But as handlebars go, they're a super easy component to replace, and I think these were only like 45 bucks or something, so nothing super fancy. They're not like carbon fiber or titanium. But they were definitely in my budget, and if I were to give up on an expensive item, because I've been spending a lot of money on frame and other components, it would be the handlebars, because handlebars are handlebars, and these should hold up just fine for what I need. So with that said, let me grab the dropper post here, which is the next part. And this one is kind of a fun part here. I have a dropper post, unlike most dropper posts that actually have a cable running out the bottom to internally route through the frame and go to the handlebars, which I actually have capability for on the frame that I have. But this dropper post actually has a lever right here that will be under the seat that will adjust it. So you can see if I pull this lever here, it will actually come out. And then if I pull the lever and add a lot of pressure, which is very hard for me to do without it being actually installed, it'll push back in. And this dropper post has 150 millimeters of travel. So it is kind of a happy medium. I liked the travel a lot, and I think this dropper post here was about $185. So it is definitely not the top of the line RockShox or Fox dropper post, but I think it'll do for what I need, and I can always replace it down the road as well. So those are, I guess, the main frame components here. Now I suppose I'll move on to the pedals, since I have the box right here. I'm just using the MZYRH pedals, which I have used on every single bike build. If you guys remember my motorized bike video, I've just had super good luck with these pedals. It's a triple bearing, sealed bearing. They're fully aluminum, CNC'd, and they have great grip, great durability. I've just always had such good luck with these things, so I definitely would highly recommend. And aesthetically, they go with my theme of the silver and black. So I do have those pedals here, and a little wrench and some more pedal spikes, because you can actually replace all the spikes on here if they wear out or go missing. And then the other one is right under here, so I do have a right and left pedal. That would not be so good if I only had one pedal, but and they have these little plastic end caps to protect the threads that are on there that obviously will be removed when they screw in. But I absolutely love these pedals, and I would highly recommend. I think they're about $40 as well, but nothing super fancy, but they're solid and strong and pretty light for what they are. So next big component is the SRAM GX Eagle group set. And I decided to go with the whole group set versus just buying every component individually, such as the cranks and then the cassette and the chain and everything like that, because I could actually get a better deal buying the group set. And in my case, I just found a good coupon for it. But this whole group set is about $690 for the group set on the deal that I got it at. Normally, maybe around $700 to $800. Depending on where you get it from and if you have any coupons or not. But opening this up right off the bat, this is very beautifully packed. So in the top here, and hopefully the camera can see it, we have, well, first of all, the chain, which is just the SRAM GX chain with alternating silver and black links. So again, beautifully fitting our color theme here for the bike, which I'm just going for the sleek silver and black modernistic look. We have washers here, which actually came with the pedals themselves, but I have two washers there for the pedals when they screw in case I need extra. But this is one side of the crank arm. You see it has a little rubber cap here protecting the insert on the other side, but these are absolutely beautiful, just entirely black, anodized, solid aluminum crank set. I really couldn't go much better on this. I love these. And then we have here it looks like the shifter here, just the SRAM GX, all aluminum, and then the shifter holder to basically, well, bolt it onto the handlebars. So that's what we have there. And now we can open up the side of this. It looks like a little manual paper. This box comes out. And here on the second row, we have the other side of the crank arms, which is absolutely beautiful. I love this design here. I love the coloring and just the quality. These feel absolutely amazing. So this will basically go on the other side of that through the bottom bracket there when it's all completed. And then we have the derailleur here, which is for the 12 speed, because I got the 10 to 50 tooth. Yeah, I think it's 10 to 50 derailleur. So that is what's the last piece here. If I take the very last layer out, the third and final layer is my cassette. And right off the bat, this thing looks very huge. You can remember on the motorized bike build that it's only a single speed, but this is a 12 speed matte black GX Eagle SRAM cassette, which is absolutely gorgeous. And this is definitely a deal that I got in the package here. to get this whole thing with these quality of parts, because sometimes these cassettes themselves will go to $500 to $600 just alone. So I definitely recommend getting the group set as a whole package. So that's basically what happens with the mechanics and how we'll be changing speeds up there. And then the next components here, I have a box full of all the little stuff. It's not quite as exciting, but nevertheless exciting. I guess I'll just pull them out in the order I find them in the box. I have here the seat that I'll be using, which again is nothing fancy. I was not going to spend a ton of money on the seat. However, my kind of criteria for the seat was that it was well ventilated, that it was entirely waterproof and water resistant, because obviously if I end up riding the bike outside or whatever, then it was relatively comfortable. So it's very ergonomic, memory foam, you know, grippy. It's got nice vents. Let me actually go ahead and unpack it here real quick. Got this nice little handy tool to cut the tape open on this. Alright, so there's the full seat. Obviously there's a little tag here, but is the Medicus, in case you're wondering, the Medicus Air. And it's all solid aluminum construction here, with really nice vents to, well, yeah, make things nice and comfortable while riding. It feels really great, and definitely sheds water well as it looks here. So nothing too fancy, but pretty simple, pretty nice seat there. Now the next parts that I have right here are the tires. So for me, I'm going with the Maxxis Minions. I have the DHF and the DHR for front and rear, and I think I'm doing a 2.5 inch front and a 2.4 inch rear is how it works. So that is the dimensions of these tires here. You can see they are pretty aggressive. Many people have told me they've had great luck with the Maxxis Minion tires. So they are definitely fairly expensive, about $79–80 per tire, but hopefully they'll be well worth it. I'm going to trust what I hear on them, and hopefully everything will be good. But those are all zip tied up, and I'm just going to keep them that way for now until I actually put them on the bike. And then to go along with those tires, I have here a set of cush cores, and I'm not going to unbox this yet. You'll see everything here being assembled in future videos and unboxed and whatnot, but cush cores, the purpose of those, and the reason why I went with them, I wasn't going to go with them at first, but cush cores are basically like a foam insert, like a plasticky foam insert that goes inside the tire to basically prevent pinch flats and flats in general. So the purpose of the cush core is that in case your tire puncture, you can actually see a nice little representation here on the side of the box of how it kind of sits in the tire if you take a crosscut section. But cush cores will help it so that if your tire gets a puncture or a flat, you'll still be able to ride the rest of the way down the mountain on about 15 psi. Because these cush cores will basically replicate 15 psi always in the tire, because they'll fill up that much space, and they'll basically make your sidewall way more, well, invincible to pinch flats and getting squeezed between rocks, and you can ride with lower tire pressures, get really technical on things. It's just kind of a safety precaution because, you know, mountain biking, you definitely have a lot more risk of getting a flat tire. So I did decide to go with these, and I think it was only $136, I'd like to say, for the set of two, for one for the front and one for the rear. So these are something that are optional, but I honestly would highly recommend because I have liked it more and more after I bought them. Just knowing that I'll have them now. It was originally an investment I might have made later down the road, but just getting them up front, honestly, I think will save me a lot of hassle because I don't have to carry extra inner tubes or extra stuff in my backpack when I'm actually on the ride, which will be really nice for longer bike rides. Another thing that's optional, but another good upgrade, is just a bit of extra cable. I do not actually have the brakes, the brake cables with me. I have the brake pads, which for me, I'm just going to start off with the 180 millimeter, but later down the road, I may want to upgrade to a 200 millimeter rotor, because I've been seeing that as being the more popular option in today's day and age, but we'll try it with the 180s and see how that does. But the reason I don't have the actual brakes themselves, which by the way I'm going to go with the Shimano hydraulic brakes, is because the cable length is 3,000, I think 350, and then a 3,650 millimeter length. So I basically have to put the whole bike together, and I'm guessing it's going to be the 3,350 millimeter length. So if you are watching this and you're experienced building bikes for a general hardtail, I'm assuming that's what it is. You can let me know in the comments, but I'll basically be putting the whole bike together and then measuring a rough length of what I need that cable before I order the brakes. But after I order the brakes and the shifters and everything like that, just in case I need any extra cable, here it is. So again, a very optional purchase, but cheap and just a nice thing to have if you run into any issues. Another important frame component here that I have is the stem. And for this, I actually debated on quite a few different companies of stems, but I ultimately decided on the Husfelt stem here. And hopefully that's how you pronounce it, Husfelt, I don't know the official pronunciation. But this stem, basically with the stem, I kind of wanted to match the bike. And originally I was thinking of going with a Wake stem, the same company that made my handlebars, but it looked a little flimsy and just not that great a quality. However, this was a more expensive stem. I think it was about $67-ish range. But it just looks solid, and it's very, very clean looking with this kind of silver polished logo and very, very nice anodized black, but very thick and solid, which for the stem is something I really wanted considering I'm using Fox forks and quite a beefy hardtail frame. I just aesthetically and functionally, I wanted something that looked like it was going to be reliable versus those little skinny ones that have kind of the two-piece here. I just wanted the one-piece front for my stem, so that's the stem I'll be using. And then for the handle grips, I basically have a package here of the grips I'll be using. I'll open this up real quick. And these are nothing super special, only like 25 bucks for the set here. And you could even probably go better than that, but they basically have a little Allen key here and here that you'll slide them over the handlebars and then tighten this little Allen key to lock them onto the handlebars. And what I really like about these is they just have a fine, nice fine texture here that's grippy, but not too sticky, not too flimsy. But what I really like about them is they actually have this thicker texture down near where your fingers are gonna go. So this will go near the bottom of the grip to kind of be able to just have more control when you're kind of lifting up the front wheel and whatnot. So not the cheapest grips you could go with, not the most expensive either, but something in between that has what I want and it's going to feel comfortable, because the reality is grips wear out very fast from the sweat of your hands and everything. So they're the kinds of things that are replaced a lot, so I wouldn't recommend spending tons and tons of money on your handlebar grips. And now, last but not least, we have two very important pieces. And if you know from my previous videos and potentially other people as well who build bikes, don't cheap out on the spinny bits. Anything that is bearings and lubricated and turning and moving parts should be well thought out. Now, I didn't cheap out on these. These are not the most expensive option, but for my headset here, I have the Cane Creek headset, and this is a tapered 44-56 millimeter headset for the 1 1/8 inch steer tube to 1 1/2 inch, which I have on my Fox. The only headsets that I would say that are slightly nicer than these ones, that are currently entirely out of stock due to COVID, is the Chris King headset, which actually they make some very decent CNC aluminum headsets. But Cane Creek I've always had very, very, very good luck with, so I'm going to be using this Cane Creek one, and this was about $70. So nothing terrible, but it is decent quality, and it will hopefully last a while. And then for the bottom bracket, which did not actually come with the group set, is sold separately, I have the SRAM Dub BSA threaded 73 millimeter bottom bracket. Now that's the one thing that I also want to mention is that when you are getting the frame made, if it is a custom frame or if you're buying a pre-existing frame, you'll have to know what the thread pitch is so that you know what size thread pitch to actually get on the bottom brackets, because that could be a difficult thing. But this is a threaded bottom bracket, and again, I'll be going through installing all of this stuff later on, but that is the bottom bracket I'm using. It's a fairly good quality bottom bracket. I think Derailleur makes some great bottom brackets as well, but same company that made my group set here is making the bottom bracket here, so I just kind of went with that because I've always had good luck with these guys, and it'll just be same company, same stuff. It'll all go together really nicely. And that also, it includes a little manual as well as 2 little spacers here, which will basically go on the outside, as you'll see in installation. So those are pretty much the final parts that I will be using, aside from the brakes to actually build the bike, as well as a rear axle. You can see here that the front axle is actually already on these forks here, but if you don't have that, you'll need to buy a separate front axle. And for me, I'm doing the boost. So for the front, I have a 15 millimeter by 110 millimeter spacing. And for the rear, I have 12 millimeter by 148 millimeter spacing axle. So they will be like pretty much as beefy and strong as it gets. But for the rear axle, I actually messed up and I bought the wrong size threads. So I do have to wait for the last, next style rear axle to ship, but I just ordered a DT Swiss with 1.5 millimeter thread pitch. And then another tool I wanted to mention is a chain whip. These things are super useful, and I honestly don't know how you're going to safely quality assemble the rear cassette without one. I have seen people do it with channel lock pliers and like a t-shirt or something. Just don't cheap out on that, just get a chain whip. This was actually a very nice chain whip for like $35. It's all stainless steel and everything. You could just get like a cheapo plastic one if you're only doing it once. But getting a chain whip basically to lock around this rear cassette when you're tightening it, you'll see it all in action later. It's a very, very useful tool, as well as the cassette tool and the bottom bracket tool to tighten the bottom bracket, both of which I'll be showcasing in further videos. So that's pretty much all the main parts you'll need to build the actual, frame section of the bike. But now you might be thinking, okay, what about the wheels? Don't worry, I haven't forgotten about the wheels, but I did want to spend a little bit more emphasis on these amazing wheels that I got. So I am going to unpack those right now in this great big cardboard box, and you'll see what I got in a second. Alright, maybe you can't tell the wheel company yet, but for any of you mountain bike enthusiasts, particularly in the United States, Industry 9 wheels, especially Industry 9 hubs, are honestly the way to go. And no, these wheels were not cheap. Industry 9 makes very good stuff. These were definitely on the cheaper end of Industry 9's wheels. You can get the Hydras, which are the higher hubs, but I just got the 1/1 hubs, which are still, like, in my opinion, above Chris King's and DT Swiss hubs and the 350s and all of that stuff. Hope makes some amazing hubs, but crazy expensive as well. The wheels, you don't need to go quite as expensive here. I just have the 28 spoke, by the way. You could do a 30 or a 32. But for the riding that I do and for how strong and quality these are made, I have never heard of anyone having a problem with 28 spoke. But if you are a really, really heavy rider, do consider maybe doing a 30 or a 32. But with that said, Industry 9, basically, the hubs that I have 90 points of engagement, which is way higher than a lot of hubs, and they're all hand CNC'd right here in Asheville, North Carolina, which is local in the U.S. and super high quality, absolutely amazing. I actually got to visit their industry a little bit earlier, and it's awesome what they're doing there. So these are the 90 points of engagement. The Hydras have 690 points of engagement, which are honestly, yeah, I don't need that many points of engagement. Let's just say that much. That's just crazy. But the quality of these is absolutely amazing. However, if I had an unlimited budget and I wanted to do, in my opinion, the best quality mountain bike wheels, I would do Velocity rims. Velocity makes amazing rims in my opinion. The same company that made the rear rim on my motorized bike to be so ridiculously strong. Velocity rims with the Hydra hub, but that would get into like, we're talking almost $2,500, $3,000 per wheel, and that was just a little out of my budget. But the wheels are definitely something you don't really want to cheap out on, in my opinion, because they're holding you up. They're what's, you're riding on them, and I honestly would not want to be in the middle of a mountain and have my rim just fold in half or bend on something. So, you don't have to go with top of the line stuff. The DT350 hubs are still very decent way to go for a slightly lower price, but still pretty high quality. Chris King's got some good stuff too, but Industry 9, if you can, right now I know they're very, very backed up with their orders, but absolutely amazing wheel quality, and especially for the hubs. So this is the front wheel, and then here in the box I have the rear wheel. And you can see here, these are for tubeless, by the way. I'm running these tires without tubes, just the tires and the kiss cores, but they are nice and smooth on here. They do a fairly good job with the rims as well. Again, Velocity is my top company for rims. Industry 9 is the top company for hubs, in my opinion. But either way, they're still very comparable. And again, it was cheaper on my budget to do the Industry 9 rims with the hubs, rather than getting individual Velocity rims and then the Hydras and then hiring a wheel builder to do it all, because yeah, it would be literally $3,000 a wheel. So this is the rear wheel, and you can just hear these points of engagement here. I'll click it a little bit for you, but that's just quality stuff. This is absolutely amazing. So these are the tires, well, these are the tires, but these are the wheels I will be using, pre-built wheels. But yeah, so definitely go Industry 9s. I love them. I absolutely love them. My friend has them. He's had amazing good luck with them for quite a while, that he actually upgraded from all of the old stuff to actually having the Hydras on his bike. And we may do some videos together as well in the future on different style mountain bikes and whatnot. But with that said, that is pretty much everything we will be using to build the mountain bike. Well, pretty much everything, and all the last little knickknacks and tools and parts and all of that will be introduced in further episodes. So that basically makes this episode 1 of the bike build. And in future videos, I will basically be titling the video. I'll be doing like separate little videos on each thing so that you guys can follow along, because I know you guys love my tutorials. So I'll be kind of doing it in that format rather than a bunch of really long 40-minute parts to the video. This will probably be one of the longest videos in this series, but I'll be doing like just a separate video, for example, on just installing the cassette, just installing the cranks, just installing the tires, so you guys can really follow along and get a sense of how I'm going to be building this mountain bike, because I do have quite a bit of experience building bikes from the motorbike and other bikes down the road. But yeah, basically, with that said, this is part 1, and in other videos, you'll see the first, right at the beginning of the description, it'll say part 2 or part 3 or part 4. It will not be in the title, so if you guys do want to kind of watch this whole build in the series, you'll just go down and look for the description, or you can just look for the intro of the video to be, I'll mention that it's part 1 or part 2 or, etc., etc. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave a comment, like below, mention some of the parts you have on your bike. I'd love to hear that if you're willing. And yeah, with that said, I'm super excited to get this thing actually being built. We officially almost have all the parts, which have been crazy hard to get and whatnot with COVID happening, with all the manufacturing facilities being shut down for a while. But we have everything so far right out of the box. Everything is super beautiful, and as I said, especially the frame of this bike is my very own design. I'm very proud of it, and yeah, there will be a lot more on that. So hopefully you enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in part 2.